Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Freshly Pressed. This is your host, Saurabh. Today, we have with us the team from Death Drop Drag Assassin. Sorry to screw up the name in the beginning itself. Off to a good start. We have Alex and David with us. Before we get into our interview, we'll first do an acknowledgement of the country. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Gabragal clan of Daruk Nation, and pay our respects to elders past and present. We extend our respect to Aboriginal and Torres and Islander people and all the other clans who have accessed this nation. Yeah. Uh, Welcome to the podcast, folks.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you for sharing the first three issues of the comic book. It's really well done. I would say. I think it's an achievement because I think it's a shame that I finished it in like half an hour, all three of them, because it was so it was so fast. I mean, the pace of it was relentless, and the dialogues flew left, right, and center. It was so funny. It was it felt like a very funny neo noir. I don't know if you were aiming for it, but
That's
it did
exactly
feel
what
like
we
that.
were aiming for. So, um, funny, but with a dark sense of humor. And yeah, I said neo noir, and Alex, I think read neon noir, and
Yeah, I had a
and
dyslexic
that's fine
moment, so it was
because
just
they're basically, they're basically the same thing here.
yeah, there's been a lot of hammering the command U, like pump up that saturation. I don't know what's going on.
Well, neon is a strong part of neo noir, so I don't think
Yeah,
it's all that wrong.
yeah. Oh, so I
Awesome.
totally on purpose. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you made it look gorgeous on purpose, so I think we can settle for that.
Yeah, well, we say that, and I'm currently like coloring. There's like a flashback sequence that I'm doing at the moment, and it's like this is the most like desaturated thing. I don't know. I'm slightly worried. I don't know.
You'll figure it out. I have all
Yeah,
faith.
yeah,
But in fairness, you did get yourself into that mess.
yeah.
So
Oh, that's how I roll into messes of my own making perpetually. It's great.
I write things, and then Alex finds a way to make them 3 times as hard for themselves. And I'm like,
The end
"Are you
result is
sure you
amazing.
need to do that?"
Why are there all these horses in this club? No.
They're all riding bicycles,
Yeah,
all of them.
yeah.
Oh, that one scene with so many different kinds of people in that club, that whole one page spread, that one, I think it's an issue too. That is amazing. That's so well done, and I feel like I think you've spent a lot of time putting it together, Alex.
Yeah, yeah, it's that thing where you said you went through it in like half an hour, and it's like that's great because it means like the comic's doing its job and it's like functioning as a comic, and you're not like reading it going like, how am I meant to traverse this page? But then it's sort of like you think about like how long it took to draw, and it's like, but it's fine,
Um,
all for the greater good.
Look, and my
Absolutely.
initial conception of this series, or at least this particular story arc, was 6 issues, and then I was like, this is a lot of work for somebody, and I revised it. So I just kind of, there were a lot of quiet moments that I just pulled out of it.
So, like, it's just double the number of panels on each
and,
page
and
now.
so and so now just like it the pace like just increased tenfold by doing that. Um,
Are you still
and
planning
so
to keep it
yeah,
at six? Sorry.
no, it's 5. So
Uh,
this initial, if I'm not suggesting that we do more, and I think Alex and I have had like very vague conversations, and Alex has gone, oh no, I don't know if I can do another one right now. Let's just finish this one, and I respect that. But at least for the story that I have in my head currently, it's 5 issues. So
Right, right. Because that issue 3 doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. It looks like it's going to issue 10 easy.
Issue 4 doesn't seem to be stopping either. It's like,
You just get a script for issue 6 in your inbox and be like, okay, I'm gonna get started.
I'm sure editorial would love that, but
you've got bigger things to do, I hope. That's my prayer.
Yeah. Yeah, I looked at a schedule that I'd sort of agreed to, and it's like, this is going to be a character building exercise. It's fine.
You're going to be busy. That's important.
Yeah, it keeps the existential dread at bay. You can't like spiral about
Truly,
all the other
truly.
things. Yeah.
Nice. Absolutely. So I would actually love to know about both of you, how you both got into comics, and how you happen to grow your love for comics, basically.
Alex, I'll let you go first because I feel like I always by default go first, so it's your turn this time.
Oh God, I've actually never answered this question before. I think because I haven't really done like many podcasts. So let's see. I think like growing up, my dad was like, for some reason he was just like, here's this thing called Tintin, which I know is one of like the 3 gateway drugs that a lot of people get into comics with. So, and I don't know, I just like always really loved those. But then I didn't really, and then I had a friend in sort of God, I guess before I went to like secondary school, who was like quite big on comics as well. So he had a lot of sort of like the is it Joe Mad who did like when they were sort of like going very sort of like manga on like Americans comic styles. I remember just like absolutely loving that. I think he had like loads of like Spawn comics and things like that as well. So I don't know. I think that also like dived into me being like an edgy teen and being like, oh wow, this is so like dark and it's sort of like I go back and look at it now and it's a bit like. And also like it's probably way too young to be reading this, but
yeah.
And then I sort of like dropped off for a while, but the thing that really got me back into it was like there's a local bookshop that just like happened to have like some graphic novels and things like that, and they had like one of those like the first like they like Black Sad, and they had like a really big like album version of it, and I just remember getting that, and it just sort of like completely blew me away because this like. Nice. The artwork is incredible, and the storytelling is like so cinematic. So yeah, I've just been sort of trying to keep a toe in, I guess. Since
That's amazing. Did you also happen to draw a lot when you were growing up? And,
yeah, yeah, I was. I think I was a bit of a weird kid and just drew all the time because it was something to do with my overactive imagination. I don't know. Yeah, it was just sort of like, I don't know, drawing something I've like always done. And I just find the way that comics work just feel like a really natural way of like storytelling. So I think I was always just like, as soon as I figured out they were a thing, it's like, this is what I am going to do, which is like, wow, like the conviction of youth, like that was bold of you, but I think we finally sort of got there. So
you really manifested it recently, haven't you?
Yeah, destiny popped off.
Yeah. And aren't we thankful? We're thankful for that.
Yes,
I certainly am. My story is very different in that I only really started like properly reading comics about five years ago. I want to say now 5 years ago. I never grew up reading comics. I was always discouraged from reading them because they weren't, real literature.
Fun Home has some thoughts on that.
Don't worry. I finally I finally changed my parents' minds because I forced them to read. I forced them to read Mouse.
Nottingham. No.
I forced them to read Mouse. And yeah,
Yeah.
my Jewish parents finally realized that maybe it is literature. Um, anyway, so fast forward to about 5 years ago. Some colleagues of mine got tired of me talking about adaptations of comics in other media without reading the source material, and so started putting things in my hands. And one of the first things they put in my hands, which I'm eternally grateful for, is Batwoman Elegy, and it really captured my imagination. Just that like J.H. Williams art paired with the like Greg Rucka like edgy like Jewish superhero. I was a queer Jewish superhero. I was sold, and I think that like there are elements of like Kate Kane that translate to this. Um, but yeah, I was hooked, and I have an obsessive personality. So once I'm hooked on something, I'm like, I want to make these. And I had always been writing. I have a degree in writing, but yeah, writing comics just was a lot easier for me than writing prose.
Yeah.
It's easier to do piecemeal as well, which meant that I could do it to and from the day job. So yeah, I spent about a year on the ferry. Well, not really a year, like 5 months on the ferry to and from work, writing
Yep.
Nottingham. Um, so and that was how I got into comics. I spent a year just like writing whatever, including Death Drop, which was kind of like the first thing I wrote, and obviously have since come back to. Then one Mad Caves talent search, and here I am writing comics. People giving me money to write comics, which is super weird.
And you're not just writing comics; other people are writing your comics as well, which is wild.
That is
Yeah.
weird. That is a strange, yeah, that's a strange experience. But it's really gratifying, and like seeing people who like, I really love comics and I've really wanted to write comics forever, and now I'm getting a chance, and I'm like doing all these fun things with your characters that you haven't thought of, and I'm like, oh, this is great. All I gave you was like a paragraph to go with, and all of a sudden here's like a full one shot about the origin of this character that like has been in your head for 3 or 4 years.
I did interview another person who was part of Tales from Nottingham, Anna Ivitz.
Anna's
They're
great. They're
from,
so
yeah, they're
lovely. Yeah,
great. Yeah, exactly.
yeah. It was, and it was such a fun experience working with them, and like they were like very tentative at first. They were like, "Oh, could I like incorporate this piece of European folklore in this?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah! Like that sounds awesome. Do that." Uh, yeah, and like working with all of those teams has been like a very, very gratifying experience creatively.
Nice, nice. That is so amazing. I think so. Everyone has such a different story, Like I think because I grew up in India and we did not have any comic book shops in India for a very long time. They started having those shops. I think like maybe like 10 years ago. Until then, like you had to go to a bookstore or one of those news agents to actually go and buy comics. Um, and yeah, it was they had a lot of like local comics in because we have so many different languages in India. So it's the only ones from the West that were actually translated into local languages were Phantom and Mandrake comics, and that's about it. All the other ones it was so hard to find back issues for like if I grabbed say issue 5 of I got into it because of X-Men, like the X-Men was the first thing I started reading. I just loved X-Men so much. The whole like Jim Lee and Chris Claremont run of X-Men is probably my like, and that's the thing that got me into comics in the first place and just carried it on for a very long time. So so it's yeah, I don't know, it was hard to find back issues. So when I first started finding like discovering comic book stores, when I moved out of India and started finding comic book stores, I was like, this place is magical. It's like Disneyland for me. So yeah. Everyone of us has a different origin story, isn't it? Yeah.
Truly.
They, the funny thing about this is, uh, for some reason, a drag queen vigilante sounds like a very natural concept. I don't know, and there are not many out there. This is a very unique concept, and I don't know why, because it sounds like something that should come very naturally to a writer, like a drag queen and a vigilante. I don't know, just feels like it's just perfect for each other.
Yeah, I just think it's a matter of sort of coalescence of ideas at the right time. And people, it's like I'm not the first. People have done this before. Joe Glass, Cena Grace, plenty of people have done this before. But I felt like I needed to really do something that was a little different from what they were doing, and that was kind of how Death Drop was born.
Nice, nice. There's also, I think, what's the overarching idea behind the story as such?
Sure.
How did yeah.
So the basic concept is Death Drop is a retired hitman turned drag queen who kind of enters a reluctant search for her missing drag sister when a rash of mysterious deaths and disappearances sweeps across the city streets. And everywhere she goes, she kind of feels the specter of her assassin mentor haunting her every step. So we're really like, to me, more than the vigilante thing, we're really mobilizing this like retired assassin trope to do something entirely new and different with it. The superheroics are kind of secondary to that, and are very much inspired by the kind of noir-esque side of the superhero universe. So things like Jessica Jones sort of had a big impact, because this, like, around the time that I was writing that, the Jessica Jones TV show had just come out, and it was like perfectly like on tone for what I was writing. And so yeah, it's drawing inspiration from a lot of places, but really to tell a story that's not necessarily about punching homophobes in queer comics. It's about something a little different, and I can't wait for people to read it.
Yeah, it is amazing, and I really feel like it is both an important comic and a great one. It's just so much fun. I mean, it should be in people's hands right now, just because it's so much fun.
we got
that pushes the production schedule way forward. So, and
look,
No.
we got a month until, or a month and a bit until issue 1 comes out. It's very, very exciting. And it's weird because I've been basically working on this for 5 years,
Wow.
on and off, really, for 5 years, trying to get it made. And Alex has been a very diligent godsend on that front. So I'm really, really excited, and
Yeah.
I would swear several times as well, but I don't feel like I should tarnish your podcast.
No, that's fine. That's fine. As I said,
You've
we
had
have
other
people
Australians on here
out there.
before.
Exactly.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that
Yeah.
Richard's been on this show, so nothing is sacred.
um,
Yeah, but that,
uh,
I don't know. That was quite a sort of like twist of fate, because I think there was originally like another artist signed on to do this. Len, oh, I've forgotten their last name, but I
Goku.
think, didn't they have just like 5 different projects sort of fall into their lap while you're in the middle of sort of putting
Yeah.
the pitch packet
So
together for this?
in between the pitch being submitted and Scout saying yes, they got signed on for 2 projects back to back,
Wow.
with both Vault and Ahoy. So yeah, they were sort of out of the running. They would have only started drawing this if they'd signed on probably like early this year.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, probably need to go another direction. And we
Yep.
had, we had a good chat. They're wonderful, and you should definitely pick up both Quest Aside and the Gimmick from
Mhm.
Vault and Ahoy, respectively.
Nice. Nice. I think you kind of answered the question about inspirations when you were talking about what inspired you to write this, and what are some of the inspirations from pop culture that you picked up for Deathstrap. But what about you, Alex? What were you inspired by something when you were drawing this comic at all?
Um, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of wanted to make it sort of, I don't know, it's quite interesting because it's sort of like working on this, it's sort of like I only get to read it like issue by issue.
Yeah.
So I think if I'd read the whole thing, I might have gone for like, I think that might have influenced me to go for like something like a little bit darker, but I'm really happy I didn't because I really like the way it's going. Because like the first issue is, I don't know, not to say it's like lighter, but I kind of feel like this goes like some pretty places. But then it's like, I don't know, it's quite nice to do something that's like quite like poppy and colorful and
Yep.
camp and sort of really leaning into that sort of like over the top sort of like drag aesthetic.
Yep.
So it was like trying to keep that in mind. And then also with the sort of noir element, I don't know, like in particular, like when designing the club and stuff like that, it's like, oh, try and like harken back to sort of like, maybe sort of like actual like crime noir and things like that in
Yep.
some of the aesthetic choices. So it was like trying to mix all that up together.
Yeah. No, I actually love that it's very playful. The whole color scheme and the drawings are very playful because
Hmm.
it makes the material all the more approachable. It did make it eases you into the world pretty nicely, and then like the writing actually hits you with some of the darker stuff in between. So it gives that impact very nicely. So yeah,
Hmm.
kudos to both of you. You did a great job.
Yeah, and I also like that it kind of lulls you into a false sense of security as well, because you're seeing like bright, poppy, colorful, campy stuff, and then it goes really dark.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
and I and like anyone who's read any of my other stuff, I really like surprising people by giving them an expectation of one thing and then
Yeah.
delivering something completely different.
That's what I loved.
Yeah, because I think I read the first couple of pages of the pitch packet. It's like, oh, this is fun. It's characters like being like doing snappy one-liners at each other,
Yep.
and then it's like, oh my, oh okay.
Yep.
But again, that's something that I really like about it as well. That it's just sort of like you've got no idea where it's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing, and good you said about dialogues. I think it's the dialogues are so sharp and so punchy. It's amazing because that's what makes it such a breeze to read as well. Like it just gives that restraint to the whole proceedings. Otherwise, if it becomes overly dark and heavy, then it becomes more difficult to read.
Yeah, and like it's interesting because I took a similar dialogue is my favorite thing to do. Like because you could just ignore all of what Alex has to do and just focus on is this a conversation between two people that makes sense and that is true to their characters and like advances the story in some way, or gives you a deeper understanding of their characters. And that's where the fun of my part of things really is for me. So it's like closing your eyes and just like listening to the music in a movie, and
Yeah.
listening to
Yeah.
the dialogue. So I enjoy that thoroughly. And it's interesting also to compare that to Nottingham, which is like oppressively bleak. And But the dialogue, if you really look at it, the only person who's like grim all the time is the sheriff. Everybody else is kind of like over the top melodramatic, and the sheriff is just like, I'm having a really bad day all the time. And so he's the one character who like isn't in this because everybody's melodramatic.
Yeah, and it's sort of like, I don't know, it's kind of like it was so easy to like pick up on like, I don't know, how all the different characters were going to like act and what their vibe was, just I think from like the first, I don't know, couple of lines of their introductions. So I think everyone's got like an incredibly distinct voice as well, which has been incredibly fun to play with. Partly because
exactly. Yeah, sorry, you were saying, maybe I cut you off.
No. I think I started a thought and then realized there wasn't actually anything there. So I just like Wile E. Coyote'd like off that cliff.
But you're right. To your point, I think dialogues help shape the character, because dialogues are a large part of a person's character, right? Like that's how they speak, right? So if for an artist to imagine how the character would either look or behave or interact with the world, dialogues are actually a large part of it. They shape it very well.
Yeah, and that's how. Sorry.
No, because I was just going to say, I was thinking about like when it came to like doing character designs and stuff like that, I think it was more just like going off the script, and there wasn't like that. I think there were only like a few little physical points. And
I did.
But
I did put it in the panel descriptions, but I didn't give you like a detailed sheet, I don't think, of what I wanted. I just let you kind of play with it.
Yeah, but I think like based off the script, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's really easy to get like a picture of like who these people were. So
nice.
Yeah, and you nailed it. I mean, you nailed it. So
well.
But I mean, like the dialogue also is like it's my part of the art, you know. And obviously, Lucas has done a fantastic job lettering it as always. But it's it's really the one contribution to this which is almost solely like my voice. So I want to make sure I'm constantly matching Alex's art with words that do it justice.
Absolutely.
Vice versa.
And to Lucas's credit, I think one of the amazing things that they've done in that's in issue 2 again, when the bear is chasing our lead character through the club. There's this series of panels through the and they have the same background noise, and those sounds have been done so well. You can just actually you can imagine the whole scene. Like just look at it and imagine the whole perspective in your mind just through that sound. It's been done so well. I really love the lettering in some places.
Lucas, for I guess for anyone who's listening and can't see his surname up on the screen, Lucas Gattoni is a wonderfully talented letterer, and I say this all the time. You know, he's one of the top letterers in the business. Just very quietly, one of the top letterers in the business. And he does fantastic work, and he's been working on this almost as long as I have. He's worked on 2 previous iterations of this project, and so thankful to have him on board, both for this and also for my book that came out this week. Not to shamelessly plug that too, but Monomyth is in comic book stores this week.
I should have picked that up too. See, Alex, I picked up Nottingham today.
Oh yeah, because it's Free Comic Book Day today, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
my daughter loves to pick up comics during Free Comic Book Day. She just loves to stand in that queue and go and pick up some free comics. She always gets introduced to something new during those. Like today, she got into, I think it was Animal Crossing. There's a manga of Animal Crossing.
Everybody's loving that Animal Crossing manga. I've been hearing a lot about it.
It's very, very cool. Yeah.
That just sounds like it's gonna print money. Like, Jesus Christ. But it's
exactly.
great because
And
if it's getting like younger people into comics, like, because
yeah, I think she's 5, and from the last one, last year once she picked up Pokemon, she loved Pokemon a lot. So that's how she got into manga at the age of 4. I never had that exposure to me at that age. So it's great that they're able to do that now.
Absolutely. Building and hopefully building lifelong comic fans. That's what we like to hear. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She loves her the DC superhero girls, the whole band of like the girls from Wonder Woman to Green Lantern to Batgirl and all of them. She just loves them so much.
It's awesome.
Yeah, amazing. Slight detour. One of the favorite things I like to ask everyone is probably I'll change that question a little bit and say, what's your favorite genre of say movies slash comics slash games or whatever you like in pop culture, and what are the 5 most recent awesome things you have seen or played or
five.
5 best
I'm gonna have
movies
to
you've
write a
seen.
list.
Like this. Yeah, no, this is not the greatest question to ask my brain.
Were you just like?
It's like, but like choosing between genres is hard enough. It's why I constantly mash them up. I've been writing a lot of crime stuff. I don't know that it's my favorite genre, but I've been writing a lot of it.
I'll make it
Uh,
easier. Just any 5 pop culture things that you've liked. Just
all
any
right.
5.
I just finished Jedi Survivor, which is fantastic. So if you're a gamer and you like Star Wars, 100% fantastic story too, and just like great acting. So that's awesome. I really enjoyed that. Um, in the same vein, The Mandalorian. Um, I've also been rewatching The Magicians. Now that I've finished writing Monomyth, I feel safe to poison my mind again by watching The Magicians. So I'm rewatching that. What else is there that I finished my rewatch of Counterpart again, which is a fantastic spy thriller with a hint of sci-fi, if that's your thing. Fifth, and I also rewatched Legion.
Nice.
Yeah, so those are the 5 things that are probably in my brain at the moment.
God, I'm terrible because I am like so bad at like getting around to like watching and like doing things. So this is gonna be an interesting one. But I know I think my favorite genre is like sad adults being sad and destroying their lives. So I don't know. I just started watching like season 1 of White Lotus, which is just like an absolute like anxiety train. It's just
I
like
know.
all these people are so terrible and they are making the situation worse. Please stop. And it's just like, so I think I've got like 2 episodes left to do of that. Also, you're probably gonna notice that everything I like suggest is happened like 3 years ago, and I'm just very gradually catching up. But it's good because no one's talking about it at the moment, I guess. And then I think favorite film of last year was probably like
I
Triangle
forgot
of...
to. I forgot to
movies!
mention everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah. No, I mean that was like
Yeah.
number 1, but I think like number
Yeah.
2 was like Triangle of Sadness, because it's like that director just knows how to take sort of like what on paper sounds like a very sort of like everyday normal premise, but then at some point just like insert the most like horribly intense scene that sort of just like tips into horror, and it's just like I'm so uncomfortable. So, and that again is more like Eat the Rich media if you're in the mood for that. What else? What have I been reading? I mean, there's a book club that I go to, and I mentioned Fun Home earlier because we like just did that, and it was quite funny because it was very much like we're all book people. I'm surprised this wasn't manga, and it's like no, it most certainly is not, because it's sort of like I think I must have read that book like 5 times by now, and it is just like so dense, and there's like so much going on in there in terms of sort of like all the
Wow.
literary references and things like that. That it kind of almost makes me want to read Ulysses, but not quite. And then what else?
Were you the one who suggested Fun Home to the book club?
No, because I think they did like Sensible Footwear as their first graphic novel, which is very much sort of like, it's sort of like a history of sort of like the queer woman movement and things like that. But I don't know, I'm not a big fan of the aesthetics of it, and I just think it wasn't like a very, oh god, I probably shouldn't be like saying that, but I don't know. I kind of just felt that like, the layouts were like very confusing and like maybe a bit oversaturated for like if this is someone's first comic. So it was really good to see that they like did another one. And I suggested a bunch of other stuff. So I'm hoping something else I read recently. I've forgotten what the name of it is. It's called like Flung into Space, and it's sort of like a memoir about Patricia Highsmith, who wrote like The Price of Salt, which became Carol, and The Talented Mr. Ripley and things like that. And she is like a really, I don't know. I mean, she's not great because I don't know. She had like some pretty bad views about some things. But I don't know. It's the second sort of piece of fiction that's been given to me. Well, not sort of like fiction, but things using her as a character and sort of, and yeah, she's a very complicated woman. So I enjoyed that book, but it's also like, oh, you were a bit reprehensible, and it would be quite interesting to see like if people read that, because I don't know if it's sort of like widely known that she was sort of like very anti-Semitic, like how that, but obviously she wrote this book that was like a hugely like, I don't know, like a big piece of literature, because I think like The Price of Salt was like one of the first sort of like big queer female things. So I don't know, it's that thing of sort of like artists separating from the art, and it's like,
yeah.
And then also that thing that I think you see happening like a lot with sort of like queer creators today, where it's sort of like, or anyone from a sort of minority group, where it's sort of like they're kind of like, you have to like, I don't know, there's a big thought about sort of like I don't know, having like not I can't form it, but something about sort of like,
it's okay. That's
not being sort of like not doing anything problematic, because there's sort of like so few people in the space that it's sort of like, I don't know.
It's okay. I wrote a whole comic book series about this.
Exactly. It's a big sort of complicated issue, and it's because people are people, but also,
and people are awful, as we know.
Yeah.
But like the anti-Semitism is never surprising to me.
No,
Look, everyone from Disney to Kanye, it's never a surprise.
Yeah, at this point, nothing surprises me. I don't know. Like, there's just so much negativity in the world. People are complicated. They could be, extremely right wing, or anti-Semitic, queer person, or something like that. They're all mix of a lot of different things. So I don't know. It's I'll try to stay positive as much as I can. Yeah.
I get all the pessimism out through my work. That's how I do it. Like, excising your demons. Sometimes it happens when I'm writing. Sometimes I just enjoying writing Death Drop. Mostly because I'm usually when I'm writing Death Drop, I'm also writing some Nottingham, and so it's like, it's nice to write a book where some of the characters at least care about each other, because in Nottingham, everybody either hates or resents everybody else. And any characters who like each other too much, you should be suspicious of what's going to happen next. But yeah, in Death Drop, it's nice that like I get to write characters who really and deeply care about each other. Like
Nice.
my favorite scene to write so far is like the first couple of pages of issue 3, where you get
I love that.
like a very quiet but deeply emotional reunion between two people that like the first page leads you to think it's going in one direction and then it goes in the complete opposite direction, and that just a joy to write and a joy to watch come to life, because I always knew how these characters would feel about each other, and then yeah, it was really nice to like actually make that come to life. And I know Alex particularly loves the character in question.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I love all your children, David.
Our children,
Oh,
our
yeah,
children.
okay. Oh, that's weird.
Absolutely is, but it's still so much. It's still true.
Okay.
Oh.
You both conjured them to life, so it's fine.
You spent a lot more time conjuring them to life than I did, technically.
I think about them
If
a
you
lot.
actually time start, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know, like, how long does a script take you to do you reckon?
I decline to answer that question on the
Yeah.
ground.
Oh shit, yeah.
No, it really depends on like. So for example, during lockdown, it would take me forever to finish a script, and yeah, so like that is deeply tied to how I'm feeling at any given moment. If I'm having a good day, I can squeeze out, like 6, 7, 8 pages sometimes. I've had days where I've squeezed out like 12 pages.
Wow.
Yeah, those are weirdly great days. But you end up exhausted at the end, so I'm not sure. And then there are days where it just does not want to go onto the
No.
page, and you know what? That everyone has that. But as long as you at least write every day, even if you end up tearing up the script and going back to the drawing board,
You've still put something down that you can build
yeah,
off next
you've
time.
still done something.
Yeah.
You've still achieved something. So yeah, look, like my deadlines for Nottingham Volume 1 were 2 weeks.
Wow.
Oh my
So
god.
I was turning in a script every 2 weeks. I don't know why, but Mad Cave were like, we need these, and I was like, okay. This is my first time, but okay.
But it's that thing where it sort of sets your expectations and then you're pleasantly
Yep.
surprised by what the deadlines are like in future.
Yeah, look, in fairness though, like I would settle for like an intense like 2.5 months over like an extended period, but doing like 4 different things at the same time.
Yeah, because it's sort of like you can. I think we lost
Ooh.
David.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Australian internet. Oh, he's back.
What happened there? I am completely bewildered as to what happened there, but I'm back.
It got too intense. But no, I think there's a lot to be said for like being able to just sort of like immerse yourself in something and just like hyper focus on it, because you can just like completely get like lost in it, and
that's what, if you've ever seen there's on the internet, on YouTube, it's George R.R. Martin and Stephen King interviewing each other. And Stephen King will just be like, look, I write a book in like 2.5 months. It's a very focused period. I'm out. And George R. R. Martin is like, how the hell do you do that? He's like, I write. And he's like, I just write 6 pages every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
are we still waiting on that last Game of Thrones book?
I think it's the last two that we're still waiting
Oh
on.
no! Oh George!
They're never going to
Look,
come.
I'm more focused on Patrick Rothfuss getting his last book done. That would be nice.
Yeah,
If you've ever read Name of the Wind or the Kingkiller Chronicle, you should definitely read it, and then have to suffer like me as we wait for the final book.
Gosh, how long have you been waiting for that?
Oh, it's since 2011. I want to say. I don't know.
Wow.
Oh
A
wow.
while.
Yeah.
He's been doing other things, you know.
Nice. Yeah, I'd read some other like I was very interested in writing novels a while ago, and I was reading a lot of like other Stephen King has a book on writing, and there are other authors as well. I know Jeffrey Archer is not the best author out there, but I did read some of his advice, which kind of made sense because he says the discipline for writing is extremely important. He treats it like a day job, so he starts his writing at like 9 a.m., does the same kind of takes the same kind of breaks that he would do in an office. Like he treats it like an office going job, and then finishes at like 5 p.m. every day, and he aims to finish like 4 or 5 pages every day, which is why he kind of meets the schedule, or like keeps up with the discipline. Again, like he says all these things: you have to shower every day, or wear good clothes, this kind of things, as if you're going to work. It's just to build that kind of environment.
Yeah, look, I agree in part, but most of us in comics have a day job, which makes it significantly more difficult. And a lot of days, I get to the end of the day job day, and I'm just like, I could not think of anything worse than sitting down to write. And I love writing, but like sometimes you're just exhausted and you need a break, and take the breaks, because
there's no point burning
otherwise
yourself out.
it's gonna make it harder to write tomorrow.
I agree. You have to think straight to write. That's the first requirement.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing. Cool. We're coming close to time now, but I will give the floor to both of you to talk about the book for 5 minutes, and have. I know we have talked about it a lot till now, but just have a quick pitch for the viewers, to and where can they get it, and or pre-order it, and things like that. I know the ticker's going
Okay.
there at the bottom, but
Absolutely. So Death Drop Drag Assassin #1 comes out June 14th. So you can pick it up either at your local comic book shop, ordering through either Diamond or Luna, or you can pick it up at Scout Comics website, or you can grab it on one of the digital comic book reading platforms. It's everywhere. You can read it digitally or physically. But please, if you can, pre-order. I don't know when this is dropping. FOC is Monday, so I don't know. Monday, May 8th. But go to your local comic shop, ask for it, even if that date has passed, because that allows us to, if the book sells out, get a second printing, and if the book hasn't sold out, it makes sure you get a copy before it does. I've had this happen with Nottingham and Tales from Nottingham, where the first issue has sold out. So please ask your comic book shop for it in advance of release day. It really, really helps. Because ultimately, as gratifying as the book selling out is, I would love for more people to be able to read it, and to not have people fighting over it at the comic shop. That would be nice.
I mean, my ego would kind of love that, but no, also financially, yeah, and also just like, yeah, so as many people, I don't know, I haven't done anything in sort of like the direct market before, so I don't know, the thought that this is actually going to be in comic shops on shelves and printed, it's like
exciting.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah,
there's some variants over on the Scout web store as well, because we were
Yeah.
very fortunate to get Leanna Kangas to do a cover for us, which is absolutely stunning. So if you head over to the Scout website, I think you can pick that up from there.
Yeah, you can pick that up from there. It's the retailer incentive cover, so it's like 1 in 10. I think they can specifically order it from Lunar, but through Diamond, they'll get one for every 10 copies of Death Drop that they order. But otherwise, there's also the Scout Comics web store variant, which Alex did, which is an amazing. I think it's actually my favorite cover.
Yeah, I saw them decide to switch it around. I thought, oh, David's not going to like that.
I mean, I understand why they did it, but that's on them.
That's amazing. I actually good you said that, because I missed the pre-order for two of the books that I wanted to order, and I could not get my hands on them. Both Anas Abdullah's Ethers and what was the other one? And We Love You by Fellhound. I missed both of them by this much. They went out of stock, and I really can't get my hands on them again till it goes in reprint. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I have a feeling that "And We Love You" will probably go to another print, but I don't know about Aetherius, and I hope it does,
Yeah.
because
I hope
it's
it
a great
does.
book.
Yeah. It's
Both
beautiful.
of them are great books by
Yeah.
fantastic creators, who are very lovely and genuine and supportive of the community. So
No, I absolutely love both of them. They're so good. Sorry, Alex, you were saying.
I was just nodding in a
in
staunch
agreement.
It's like, yes.
And it's
Yeah.
one of the fantastic things about this industry, everybody, for the most part, apart from those few recalcitrants who are destroying action figures and cutting up comic books on YouTube, almost all of them are just like super lovely and supportive, and it's really creatively energizing to be around that kind of energy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. So everyone, just keep an eye out for Death Drop Drag Assassin at your local comic book stores. Pre-order it from Previews World if you don't want to miss it like me. And have a great time reading it. It's a fabulous, fabulous comic. I would highly, highly recommend it. It's super fun to read. Thank you so much for making time today, Alex and David. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for
Thank you for
having
having us.
Awesome. I'll see you both on the other side. But yeah, it's goodbye for now, and yeah, see you again soon.